I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sharon Noble, Director of the Coalition to Stop Smart Meters in BC. Welcome to the show, Sharon.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Well, the BC Privacy Commissioner recently released a report saying the provincial government has a horrible record of keeping records and making them accessible to the public. The Premier says, well, we just have a different interpretation of the Public Access Act or the Privacy Act. However, you're running into a stone wall when you're trying to get information about smart meters, such as why do they have to charge you $32.40 a month if you keep your analog meter? Where's that money going? How much has been collected? Why do they need it? Sharon, how do you feel about the stone wall you have run into when you try to get information from either the provincial government or BC Hydro?
I've been running into so many stone walls, Jim, it would blow your mind. I think I've mentioned a few of them, whether it's with regard to fires, trying to find out if they've occurred, what these meters are doing as far as burning up homes and putting lives at risk, and most recently, the financial report. Almost a month and a half ago, I wrote to BC Hydro asking for the most recent. I didn't ask them to create anything. I asked them for the most recent financial report that has been provided to the BC Utilities Commission with regard to the smart meter program. This smart meter program's business case was written in 2010, and I've never seen an update to it. I think we have a right to know how it's progressing and how it compares with what we were told. Also, I asked for the amount of money that's been collected through these legacy or extortion fees and how it's been spent. I think this is something we have a right to know. And I've been getting nothing but stalling. They have to send it to this department, that department. Finally, this week, I received a statement back from the BC Utilities Commission saying that they have to get permission from a third party to release it. A third party? Who's this third party? Is it Itron? This is our money. This is a public agency. It's still a Crown corporation owned by us. And we have every right to have this information. The smart meter program the business case had so many problems, so many misstatements, so many, I would frankly say, lies, that I think that they're afraid that we're going to look at it and do some comparison. The business case was based upon life expectancies of these meters being 20 years. We now know it's going to be closer to 5 years. They are saying that the business case was that it's going to have so many benefits that it's going to prevent, people from being in the dark. They're going to have quicker access to outage information, that all of our rates were going to be going down because of this. None of this is turning out to be true, and it didn't turn out to be true in Ontario after 10 years, and it hasn't turned out to be true in California after 10 years. We have a right to know how much money is being spent on that program and what the projected costs are going to be. The way I see it from every place else, for instance, in Pennsylvania right now, they're putting in brand new smart meters that have been there for 5 to 7 years. They're replacing them. And they're going to have to start replacing them here too pretty soon. We're going to be in a spiral of money being spent and no benefits, and they won't tell us.
Why do you think they won't tell us? Is it because they don't have the information available, or they just don't think you deserve to know?
They don't want us to know. Legally, they have to present financial reports to the BC Utilities Commission on I believe it's a quarterly basis. It's been 5 years now. I didn't ask for a brand new report. I asked for the most recent. It could have been a year ago. It could have been 2 years ago, and they won't give it to me. I think that the public should be outraged at the idea that the BC Utilities Commission is siding with Hydro and saying that they have to get permission from a third party to release this information that is publicly, it should be publicly available. Every financial report that pertains to our money, whether it's the legacy fees or whether it's just the money that's being raised through our taxes and through our rates. Look at how our rates are increasing. Don't we have a right to know why? I think it's amazing that hydro can operate like this without having any responsibility to the people who own it.
Have you made any inquiries to the Privacy Commissioner about this information that's not being released?
Not yet about this financial report. I intend to. But I only have an individual can only make 5 complaints that, at a time, and I have 5 complaints in there already. One's for all pertaining to BC Hydro and their failure to provide information. I will continue to work with BCUC and try to get this financial report, but it may be up to the public. Other people are going to have to raise this issue because I'm at my limit with the Privacy Commissioner right now. 5
complaints? That sounds like Prime Minister Harper. He'd only allow reporters 5 questions, and 4 of those questions were from, I called his hand-picked lapdog reporters who would only ask questions that they'd previously cleared with him.
I think that the Privacy Commissioner, to be fair, has limited staff and limited resources. And they've got a lot of stuff that's going on with this government. A lot of stuff that has to be investigated. If you look back at all of the scandals, all of the problems that Christy Clark is guilty of causing, the Privacy Commissioner is very busy right now. So I'm not going to hold the Privacy Commissioner at fault. But I believe that BC Hydro and this government is complicit in trying to hide information from the public.
In other words, we have a Privacy Commissioner, but she's been choke-chained and underfed and under-resourced.
Yep, that's the way I see it.
Is that part of the government conspiracy against the public?
Well, it seems to be a pattern. For instance, the fire departments, I can't get fire reports because their budgets have been cut. They're cutting budgets all over the place for our services so that we can't get information. It just seems to be that if they are saving money, truly saving money by cutting these things, I don't think that they've looked at the right places. There seems to be a lot of fat in other places that could be cut before they cut things that are essential to the public safety and also to be able to report to us about how our money's being spent.
You said in the U.S. there's been confirmation that smart meters definitely are causing fires.
Not only in the U.S., but from some industry people in the U.S. I am on several mailing lists for U.S. groups down there. And Tesco, which is a major company down there, has admitted that the number of fires has increased significantly since smart meters were installed. In fact, one of their pieces of information says the number of fires attributable to electrical distribution equipment has increased 48%. That's a pretty astounding increase, when you look at these numbers. And they also admit that analogs can handle heat much better than digital or smart meters can. There's a significant increase that they are looking at, and they're saying that a lot of these are due to hot sockets. What that means is arcing is occurring. And another industry document confirmed that the smart meters are causing arcing in 2 different ways. One is because the installations are not being done by properly trained people. Even if the people were properly trained, every time you take a meter in and out, you're going to make the jaws wider. They're little, I don't know it does look like a jaw that the blades of the meter fit into. And every time you take it in and out, that tension is released more so that the fit is looser. And when you have a loose fit, you get arcing. And they're saying that the smart meters also have thinner blades going into these jaws, which is exactly what was admitted in that testimony in the Texas lawsuit. These meters are not fitting into the meter base as well. And also this constant removing. And one of the major concerns is that these life expectancies of these meters is merely between 5 and 7 years. That means that every potentially 5 years, these meters are going to be exchanged, which is going to result in the meter base's jaws being widened. And there's going to be more and more problems here as time goes on.
And of course, we live in an earthquake zone. Can you imagine if those things wiggle around a bit if we have a rumble or two?
Yeah, there can be shaking. You're right. There are so many problems here. And there's no reason. No one yet has given a good reason to have these things in our home. They're not saving money. They're not saving energy usage. And analogs are still being made. Analogs are being used in the United States, in many different states, and in many areas of different states. So there's no reason for us to have these things. And yet, nobody is willing to discuss it. The Fortis people should be getting to the BC Utilities Commission, but they're having them forced on their houses just like they were with hydro. Electricity is being turned off. People are now suffering because of the cold. Winter is starting, and there are quite a few people now who are without electricity and suffering.
And of course, they can turn your electricity on and off remotely with one of those meters, right?
If you've got a smart meter, yes, they can. Each smart meter has a remote disconnect switch. They can turn it off to reduce the power so that, some of your appliances won't have such a large draw if they need electricity. They can turn it off if you're not paying your bills. They can turn it off by accident even. It was designed this way. That's one of the supposed benefits to the utility company, because they control your power remotely. This is one of the devices inside the meter that has caused fires. These remote disconnect switches spark, and there's a lithium battery in there. In Saskatchewan, this was the reason that the census meters were removed, and in Oregon as well, because the remote disconnect switch was sparking.
Right, and if you've ever turned on an electrical appliance in the dark, you can see that spark happen right there in the little switch bracket.
Yeah, it's part and parcel of having something electrical. The fire inspector that I spoke with, I think I spoke about him the last time we talked. He said that there should never be an electrical meter. The fire inspector believes that it in itself is dangerous because electrical devices fail. Electrical mechanical device like an analog is less likely to fail, much less likely to cause a fire than a smart meter or a digital meter.
We'll have more with Sharon Noble right after the break.
I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
More and more people are looking to the internet for intelligent, riveting, and thought-provoking interviews. To advertise on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com, call 604-699-8600, 604-699-8600.
In Goddard we trust.
Welcome back. We're speaking to Sharon Noble, Director of the BC Coalition to Stop Smart Meters. Sharon, you said you received an anonymous call that has you greatly concerned.
Yes. As you know, I've been talking about the fact that hydro removes meters from the scene of fires, even though it's illegal. And the fire commissioner says it can be done because hydro owns those meters. I got an anonymous call, a call from an anonymous fire inspector. He gave me his name, and I was able to check it out and everything. But, of course, for obvious reasons, I cannot reveal his name. But he confirmed that hydro is removing smart meters from the scenes of fires before he's able to do his job. And this has him very, very concerned. He said that many times the meter base shows signs of arcing, but he cannot determine the cause of the arcing without seeing the meter. He can't say whether the meter is causing the fire or it isn't causing the fire. And even if he suspects it's causing the fire, by law he cannot report it. He can only say that something has caused the fire if he is 100% certain. In cases where the meter is gone, the most he can say is the electrical distribution equipment might have been involved and the cause is undetermined. And this is what I'm getting in report after report after report. He agreed that the law is being broken, but nothing is being done. In fact, he said that many times, You know, when the firemen have to call hydro and say, disconnect the electricity so the firemen can get into the building, they're supposed to be turning it off at the pole. There is a fuse there that they break. That is where it's supposed to be turned off. Otherwise, the wires going into the building are still live. But what hydro will come and remove the meter before they disconnect that fuse on the pole, leaving firemen standing there waiting. This is something that people need to know, and we need to help the fire inspectors. I asked him what we could do to help, and he said people should be going to their fire departments now, before another fire happens, and demand that they stop hydro from doing this. Nobody is doing anything. It is written in the BC Safety Standards Act that nothing can be taken from the scene of a fire until the fire inspector has been able to do his job. It's a potential crime scene, and inspections have to be done to determine the cause. With these meters being taken, no one will know whether the smart meters are dangerous or not. And BC Hydro has said that they're not testing the meters, they're not investigating the meters. As soon as they take a meter that's been involved in a fire, they send it off to Itron for immediate replacement. This is a great way for them to be able to say there's never been a smart meter fire that they know about, because they don't know about it, and they aren't allowing the fire inspector to know about it either. This is happening across the country. This is the same thing that the Quebec firemen were going on about. They released a major press release a few months ago begging for help in having the firemen be able to deal with this. The meters were being removed from the scene of the fire, and they were very concerned that no one has been able to find out if the meters are indeed guilty of causing fires.
Well, if they're taking something that caused a fire, first of all, that's obstruction of justice. And secondly, if they know they're causing fires, are they not guilty of arson?
I don't know if arson are guilty of obstructing justice, but they sure are hiding evidence. And they are breaking the regulations, the standard regulations. And BC Safety Authority is supposed to be enforcing it. The fire inspector confirmed the BC Safety Authority is the one that is supposed to be enforcing this, and they aren't. And when I talked to the director of the electrical division of the BC Safety Authority, Mr. Janish, he told me that they have been told not to get involved in this issue.
Well, how can they be told if it's the law?
There are powers that are breaking the law every day. The Clean Energy Act apparently overrides any of these other safety laws. I don't understand how that can happen, but the Clean Energy Act has said that hydro, the BC Utilities Commission, and apparently, although it's not named in the Clean Energy Act, apparently it applies to BC Safety Authority too. There is nobody, Jim, there is nobody out there taking a look at these meters to determine that they're safe. An electrical engineer is supposed to certify them as anything that is being used that has not been certified. They're supposed to be certified by an electrical engineer. This isn't happening. The Fire Safety Standards Act are being broken. The regulations are being ignored. Nobody's doing anything about it. We need to have a grassroots effort here. Everyone who has a smart meter, everyone who might have a smart meter pushed on their house, has to get involved. We should be demanding, we should be going to the Premier's office, we should be going to Bill Bennett's office, we should be standing outside, even in the rain and the cold, outside our MLA's office, and demanding, that things change. If they don't change, it's our fault for allowing it to happen. There are going to be more fires, there is going to be more property damaged, and I'm sure there are going to eventually be deaths if there haven't been deaths already.
Well, Canada has a new justice minister from Vancouver. Is there any chance you might be talking to her about this? After all, arson is a federal offense.
We need to perhaps put pressure on our new MPs. I intend to look at the new health officer and try to get the new health officer involved, or the health minister involved in the Health Canada. We need to get some of our politicians involved. And it's so very sad to say that the NDP is not helping us with this. They're just as guilty as the Liberals. We need someone to stand up and help us, Jim, whether it's federal or provincial. My fear is that because this is a provincial program, the federal justice minister will probably say she doesn't have jurisdiction.
It seems hard for a federal government not to have jurisdiction over something because, again, obstruction of justice, removal of evidence, That's not a provincial offense. That's the Criminal Code of Canada.
Well, perhaps it will take somebody laying a charge with the RCMP. This is something that hasn't been considered. People that need to get upset. If they're angry enough, perhaps some charges need to be laid. Evidence is being removed from the scene of a fire. It's being removed from a potential crime scene. This is a criminal act.
How frustrated do you feel so far?
Oh man, Jim, I'm frustrated. I think that every time I think that I've found something else, that it can't get worse, and it just keeps getting worse. This government has put up walls, have put up roadblocks every step of the way. Our class action lawsuit is coming up soon, and we must have our civil rights protected. We're going to be having the hearing in Vancouver in the Supreme Court on December 7th it starts, and it's scheduled to go from the 7th until the 11th. And we're going to be presenting our argument that our civil rights to live in our homes free from this sort of intrusion, free from having our lives and property put at risk. We're going to be arguing that hydro has put our property and lives at risk. I hope people will come. It is open to the public in the Supreme Court on Smythe Street in Vancouver from December 7th to December 11th.
Sharon, how can people find out more about your concerns about smart meters and maybe if they want to help out?
They should go to our class action lawsuit, to our coalition website, which is www.stopsmartmetersbc.com. There's a lot of information on there, and they can connect with me. My email address is director@stopsmartmetersbc.com. If they want more information, they can also look at our updates. I send out daily newsletters, and on our website, if they look at newsletters, they can read them. Our class action lawsuit information is at www.citizensforsafetechnology.org. They can register there. They can sign up to get more information about the class action lawsuit. We need people to get educated about this and get involved.
Sharon, thank you very much for chatting with us.
Thank you very much, Jim. I appreciate the opportunity.
My guest has been Sharon Noble, Director of the BC Coalition to Stop Smart Meters. You're listening to the Goddard Report on TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Find us on Twitter at TalkDigitalNet. Our very popular YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Comments about the show can be emailed to info@howstreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.